This week marks 9 months since the deadliest school shooting in Tennessee's history. 6 people, including three 9-year-olds, were gunned down and killed at the Covenant School in Nashville on March 27th. As the state legislature is returning to session in January, parents whose children survived that massacre are preparing to once again fight for gun reform. Joining me now are two of those parents, Nick Hanson and Mary Joyce. Mary and Nick, thank you both very much for being with us tonight. Mary, I want to start with you. Parents like you, including some who consider themselves conservatives, have been actively pushing for some kind of gun reform to come out of the state of Tennessee in these months since that horrific mass shooting. However, the special legislative session, it ended earlier this year with virtually no progress on gun safety laws. What do you want to see happen, and what is the plan for you in this next session?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what we're going to focus on is education around Nashville. And so most Tennesseans think that there are gun laws that keep them safe and protect their Second Amendment rights, and that bad guys can't get weapons that can hurt people, but it's just not the case. We have extremely lax laws here in Tennessee, and we hope to share what those laws actually are in Tennessee, and also press legislators to look at these gun safety laws that we can implement that are easy, common sense laws to keep not only our kids safe at school, but all kids safe.
Yeah, and Nick, I mean, what Mary is saying, it's really supported in the numbers that I've seen. More than 75% of Tennessee voters in a new Vanderbilt University poll say that they support temporarily removing guns from people who are at risk to themselves or to others. This is something that was considered a high priority for so many parents, considering that the shooter in this case legally purchased their guns despite being treated for an emotional disorder. What do you think is stopping some of the state Republicans from taking this step that has so much support?
Yeah, as you said, we're seeing overwhelming interest from Tennesseans for this kind of change at this point. There's numerous polls that are showing this, and it's been consistent. Behind closed doors, I've had success talking one-on-one with legislatures and just meeting them kind of where they're at. And, it's a hard topic and it's a hard landscape, Unfortunately, you're balancing election cycles and, your constituents with children. We didn't have an issue getting a state gun passed into law, but for some reason we're having a hard time with, red flag laws, which we actually have on the books since 2009. And I don't hear any complaints about that one. It's just the time right now, and it's frustrating. It's really challenging.
Yeah, Mary, just recently, there was a new report by the Washington Post that shows that several current and former senators from across the political spectrum, they took the rare step of recanting some or all of their previous positions on gun control after the Sandy Hook shooting. Are you hopeful that some of these lawmakers will do that introspection right now and take another look at some of the measures that you all are supporting?
I wish I could wave a magic wand over our Tennessee legislature and remind them why they're in service, why they're in public office. They're elected to protect and make decisions for the greater good of all people, especially in Tennessee, right? So I would say if I can do and share our story and what we're going through in their backyard to help sway and help them make that decision so they don't have regret later looking back at their tenure and saying, man, I wish I could have passed that law or voted for that bill that could have protected or kept weapons out of people that are unwell and mentally unstable, or that are only out to do harm, or man, if I could create a little bit of friction or help pass a law that could help create a little friction around our Second Amendment right and owning a weapon, perhaps more people would have a little bit more respect for their weapon, and lives could be saved. So I am very optimistic by nature, but I do think that we have a gross political game that we also have to take into consideration when we're negotiating with these legislatures.
Mary Joyce and Nick Hanson, thank you very much for sharing that with us. And I know that your families have been dealing with a lot in these last months, so we appreciate you lending your voice to this issue that's so important to all of us.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely.